Whatever you hunted with your bow while mentioning the name of Allah, you may eat it. And whatever you hunted with your learned dog while mentioning the name of Allah, you may eat it. And whatever you hunted with your unlearned dog and you caught it alive, slaughter it and you can eat it.
Now, this hadith is quite long and detailed. However, it's easy to understand. Abu Tha'labah al-Khushani, may Allah be pleased with him, asked the Prophet ﷺ about a number of issues. Number one, what is the ruling on eating in the utensils or using the utensils of the people of the scriptures, meaning the Jews and the Christians? And why is he asking this question? Is it because they are considered to be najas? As Allah mentioned in chapter 9, إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ najas. They are impure. So is it because of their impurity? The answer is no. Disbelievers' impurity is not physical, it's not material, it is spiritual, because they associate others with Allah or disbelieve in Allah. They're considered to be impure, they're considered to be najas. But physically, they are like us, human beings. This is something that is spiritual impurity due to their kufr and disbelief. So why is the Prophet ﷺ ordering him not to eat in it unless there is no other alternative? Scholars say because they would eat impure things, such as dead meat, maybe pork, wine, etc., things that are not lawful for us as Muslims, and hence we should stay away from their utensils as long as we can find a replacement. But what happens if we do not have a replacement? The Prophet ﷺ directed him to do what? To wash. So wash their utensils and then eat in it. Then he asked about hunting, which is related to what we have. Abu Tha'laba asked the Prophet ﷺ about 3 methods of hunting. Hunting with the bow and arrow, hunting with a trained dog, and hunting with untrained dog. So hunting with a bow and arrow, the Prophet ﷺ gave the green light on one condition. What is the condition that is mentioned here? That you mention the name of Allah. And how would I mention the name of Allah? Saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar before shooting, not after shooting and killing the prey and I say, oops, sorry, Bismillah Allahu Akbar. This doesn't count. And we will get into more detail about the ruling on giving tasmiyah or mentioning the name of Allah, the Almighty. So this is with the bow and arrow. What about the trained dog? What is a trained dog? Allah mentioned in chapter 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah, that it is lawful for us to eat what our trained dogs, our learned dogs have caught for us, which means that this verse relates to what the dogs caught for us and not for themselves. Because if a dog catches a prey for itself and eats from it, this is not lawful for us. And in this, we have a clear indication on the status of learned people and learned animals over those who are not learned. Look what knowledge does to you. Even the dog, that it is a beast, that's an animal, Allah Azza wa Jal allows us to eat from what it catches for us because it's trained, and we're not entitled to eat from what untrained and unlearned dog catches. So the Prophet says, if the dog is learned, if it's trained, how do we classify a trained dog? A trained dog is a dog that when you say go, it goes. And when you say stop, it stops. This is a learned dog. And a third condition is that when it catches a prey, when it catches a rabbit or some other animal, it does not eat from it. So it just kills it or catches it. But it does not eat half of it or even a small portion, because this is not a learned dog. What about if the dog that I have is not trained? I cannot eat from the dog that is not trained unless it catches something that remains alive when I get there. So in this case, I would slaughter it and it becomes halal. But if it died before I get there, it is haram. What is the rule on mentioning Allah's name with the dog? It's the same with the bow and arrow. I have to say Bismillah. When do I say Bismillah? Once I set the dog free, I say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, go and get that prey, and then it becomes halal. So in a nutshell, this is what is mentioned in this hadith. We move on, inshallah, to the following two hadiths that are also related, and we will explain this a little bit further as we go on. The following hadith is hadith number 388, Adi ibn Hatim. We want someone to read it for us.
Narrated with Adi bin Hatim, I asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I send out the learned dog and I mention the name of Allah and they hunt for me. He said, if you send your learned dog while mentioning the name of Allah, eat what it catches. I asked, even if they kill? He said, even if they kill, as long as that no other dog joins it in killing, that is not from among them. I said, what is the ruling on me throwing the game with mi'arat, a bent arrow without features? If you shoot your mi'arat and it penetrates, you may eat. But if it kills with its weight, do not eat it. In another narration, except if the dog eats from it, in this case, don't eat from it, for I fear it might catch it for itself. And if you find other dogs with it, don't eat from it, because you mentioned the name of Allah on your dog and not on the others. Another narration, if you send your learned dog, mention the name of Allah. If it catches a game alive, slaughter it. If you reach there after its death and the dog didn't eat from it, eat it, because the killing of a dog is its slaughtering. Another narration, if you threw your arrow, mention the name of Allah. In another narration, if you didn't find the game except after a day or two. In another narration, the 2 days or 3 days and you found only the trace of your arrow, eat if you wish. And if you found it drowned in water, don't eat it. You don't know whether it died by drowning or by an arrow.
Okay, now this is a long hadith with lots of different versions and narrations, but I think it's clear. But let's go from the top. Adi ibn Hatim, may Allah be pleased with him, we spoke about him before and about his father, asked the Prophet ﷺ about a specific question, which is learned dogs. I mentioned the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they catch a game. They hunt for me. So what's the rule? The Prophet said ﷺ, eat, you have no problem. The tools are permissible. The method is permissible. What is the tool here? A learned dog. So any dog that is not learned, it's not sufficient. Only dogs? No, you can also use birds, whether eagles or hawks or whatever can be trained. It also takes the same ruling. You send them, say Bismillah, and they catch a prey, you may eat from that without any problem. Now, Adi had the question that every one of us think. First of all, we know that dogs are not permitted except in 3 cases. One of them is hunting dog, no problem. But we know that also the saliva of the dog is impure, and it is the highest in impurity. Urine, if it gets in contact with my dress or with my body, what do? Wash it. But if a dog licks in utensils, washing it is not enough. I have to wash it with soil once and 7 times with water. So this is even more than urine of human being or other animals. So it has a different story. Now, Adi is asking about the ruling of what? On eating it if the dog killed the prey. So now the dog killed it completely and totally. The Prophet ﷺ gave him the green light with a condition. What is this condition? This is what we will find after the break, so stay tuned.
ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها
Al-Aziz, the Almighty. Al-Wadud, the All-Loving. At-Tawwab, the Acceptor of your return. Al-Razzaq, the Provider. Al-Raqib, the All-Watchful. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. To Allah belongs the beautiful names. فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. So call Him upon them. To understand more of Allah's beautiful names, join me, your brother Majid Mahmood, on my new series about understanding Allah's beautiful names on Peace TV.
الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى
Don't miss the chance to comprehend the seamless explanation of Allah's beautiful names in Understanding Allah's Beautiful Names. Tonight at 8 p.m. and repeat telecast at 11:30 a.m. India on Peace TV.
Every action depends upon its intention.
Intention sincere.
What is your intention? Why do you do what you do?
Concentration, focus, dedication, dynamic.
Every single aspect of your mind, of your soul, of your heart, is it for Allah, sincerely for Him? Or is it for something else?
Get going on how to improve your prayers.
The purpose of these talks is to counter exactly that type of behavior.
Join Abdul Rahim Green.
In other words, with the outward action, there is also an inner dimension.
In Inner Dimensions of Worship, every Wednesday at 11 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12 p.m. India on Peace TV. Peace TV presents over 100 million viewers at one of the largest peace conferences in the world, addressing a sea of spellbound spectators. Over 30 world-renowned orators on Islam with credentials impeccable.
The truth of Islam.
Deen is your way of life.
It is our duty, our obligation.
By following the Quran and Sunnah,
we will give the message to one and all.
With articulation exquisite.
Read the book of Allah.
Islam is the easy way. It's the simple way.
Remind each other.
The Muslim is not a source of harm for other people.
Collaborate with the people for good.
This is the call of Islam.
With the mission of spreading the truth of Islam.
Do what you can to spread the word of Islam. Wherever we are.
live like Muslims.
Use your power.
Allah is saying, why do you need anything else? This Quran is self-sufficient.
The only book on the face of the globe, the Quran. How a human being should lead his life is given in this instruction manual, the glorious Quran.
For peace to prevail on earth in Peacemakers. Next on Peace TV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So what was the condition that the Prophet stated, alayhi salatu salam? The condition was that the dog that you had sent is the one who did the hunting. But if you come and find other dogs with your dog next to the hunted prey, this is not permissible for you to eat. Why? My dog is trained, and I said Bismillah before dispatching the dog. The answer was, because you do not know. Who did the killing? Was it your dog or another dog that you did not train or you did not mention the name of Allah? So here, the room of doubt is big. That's why you refrain from it. Adi goes on to ask about hunting using a specific kind of spear that kills not by penetration, but rather by shock, by its weight. So the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, if you throw and use that spear or stick or whatever, if it penetrates, meaning that it makes the animal or the bird bleed, then yes. But if it kills by its weight, meaning there's no wounds, but it killed by the weight of the impact, the Prophet said that you do not eat. What does this mean? If I shoot an animal, it will die by the bullet. If I throw an arrow or a spear that penetrates the animal, makes the animal bleed and die, this is halal by saying Bismillah. If I hold a rock and I hit a bird, or with a slingshot, I hit a bird with a stone, the bird falls and dies, but there's no blood. Is it permissible for me to eat? The answer is no. So this is what we learn from the hadith, that what you hunt with is one of two. Either something you throw, a bullet, an arrow, a spear, and penetrates while mentioning the name of Allah, saying Bismillah, and you do it, or it's an animal or a bird that is a predator that goes and hunts for you, providing it does not eat from it. And some scholars say that the condition of the animal or bird used not to eat from it is only for the dogs. But for the hawks or for the eagles or whatever bird is being used in hunting, it is permissible for such a predator to eat from it. But it has to be also trained as mentioned. Now, the different variations or different narrations, let's go from the top. Sha'bi and Adi said that the Prophet said, ﷺ, that the dog must not eat from it, which means that if we find a prey, a rabbit or a deer, and we find that the dog took a bite out of it for itself, we should not eat it. Why? Because there is a possibility that this learned dog, this dog that I have trained, ate for himself. He did not go after the prey, after the rabbit, because I told him to go and hunt it. He went there to eat for himself, and that is why it is not permissible. The same ruling applies for finding my dog with other dogs. I cannot eat because I don't know which one of them had that bite or ate from that prey. But the Prophet ﷺ made an exception, and that is if I find the prey still alive with 5 or 10 dogs that are not mine, and I find the deer still alive, breathing, can I eat from it? Yes, providing I slaughter it. Now, when I slaughter it, it becomes dhabiha. It becomes halal, not because of the dogs that hunted it, because of my slaughtering. And there is nothing wrong with that, even if the dogs that caught it are not trained, are not learned. Why? Because hunting and killing must be through a learned dog. But if a dog that is not learned did cripple or handicapped or impaired a prey, but it's still alive, killing it by slaughtering it makes it halal, regardless of who caught it. Also, one of the things that we should be careful when hunting, sometimes, and this happens, you see a bird, you shoot the bird, and it falls into water. What is the ruling on that? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, if you find it drowned in water, don't eat. Why? I shot it. You don't know if it died due to your shooting it or it drowned. Said, okay, we will do an autopsy and we'll take it to the hospital and see if the lungs are filled with water and the cause of death. This is not applicable. If it was in water, you should avoid it. But what about if I shoot a bird and 2 days later, I find the bird dead because of the wounds, and I see my gunshot traces, can I eat it? And the answer is yes. It died because of your shooting it. Of course, it has to have, or you have to say, Bismillah. If you don't mention the name of Allah, it is dead meat. What about if I forget? Some scholars say that even if you forget, and this is the most authentic opinion, that it's a dead meat you cannot eat and you cannot consume. Other scholars say, no, if you do it deliberately, you don't say Bismillah, then definitely they all agree that your hunting is haram. You cannot eat it. And if you forget it, some scholars say that it is permissible for you to eat what you had hunted, but the most authentic opinion, it's like slaughtering. If you don't say Bismillah, you may not eat from it. Do you have any questions?
Sheikh, if we hunt any prey through a gun, so that the shot, we took the Bismillah, Wallahu Akbar, we said, and we shoot it. So it died. So can we take it? Means
Of course.
even the blood is looking.
If the animal or the bird died as a result of you shooting it, saying Bismillah, and you shoot it, and it dies, khalas, it's halal. If you get there while it's still alive, in this case you have to slaughter it, not wait for it until, okay, let me wait half an hour or an hour until it dies by itself. No, you have to slaughter it. But if you shoot it, and by the time you reach there, it's already dead, shooting it and saying Bismillah takes the role of slaughtering it. Likewise, if you send your dog saying Bismillah and you reach the prey and it's dead because of the dog attacking it, this counts as slaughtering it because it's a learned dog and you said Bismillah. Any questions?
If you throw a rock and due to the rock there's some blood on the animal, so do we eat it?
Okay, the brother is saying that the Prophet said it has to penetrate. So if we throw a rock and the animal bleeds a little bit due to the wound and dies, was there any penetration? No. When you threw the rock, nothing penetrated the body. Not like when you shoot an animal and it penetrates, it goes in the body and the bleeding takes place. So throwing a rock and making the animal or the bird bleed a little bit and then die is still a dead meat.
Sheikh, can we hunt the birds with a catapult, a stone in it?
Slingshot. Yeah, again, hunting a bird or an animal with a slingshot, it does not penetrate. It just strikes the animal and would put it unconscious or maybe kill it, but without penetration. The hadith is clear. If it kills by penetration, then it's halal. If not, then it is haram.
If I shot a deer, okay, and the deer ran away and later it died, and when I reach it, some other wild animals are consuming from it, whether it's be a...
The same ruling applies. Why or how did the animal die? Due to my inflicted wounds upon it. It was penetrated by a shot. So when the animal died, it's halal. Now, if I am sure of that, and I catch up with the animal, with the deer, and I find that another wolf or lion are eating from it. If I'm sure that it was my shot that killed it, then I can shoo away these, if I'm not afraid, wolves or lions, or excuse me, this is mine, I came first. So if, yes, you can take it and eat it. The problem is, if you shoot the deer and it falls, but you're not certain whether it died due to your wounds or the animal came and finished it off. So it becomes like the hadith of finding it in water, it may drown it, or finding it with other dogs, maybe it was not your shot that killed it, the other animal or the predator that killed it. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.